Today I'm going to be showing you how to batch print documents in Nuix Discover. Now don't be confused by the word batch print. It's not actually going to send the documents to your printer. It's just going to export a copy of the files and it will automatically go to your downloads folder on your computer. So a couple of things to note before we batch print. Batch printing will only export what we call image files. So image files are anything with a file extension such as PDF, JPG, PNG, GIF, so all of those image type files. So if you do have an Excel document that you want to export, you have two options. You can either get Elms to export that document for you, or you can manually download that document yourself just by clicking on the download button at the top right hand corner here. But unfortunately, you won't be able to export the Excel through a batch print job, only image files. So keeping that in mind, now let's do a batch print. I'll also just direct you before we actually do the batch print to this reduction that I've applied and the different labels that are on this reduction. So we have the word redacted, my name, the date I applied the reduction, and the type of reduction it is. So I'm just going to select the documents in my list that I want to batch print. I'm now going to go to Tools in the top right hand corner and click on Batch Print. Now there's a few things to note on this first screen that pops up. The first is that it gives you a total page count. So this can be really great if you're planning on printing a brief to council and you just want to check how many pages it is before you print it, and that might help you determine whether you want to print the documents in-house or if you want to send it to an external provider to print for you. The second thing to note is you can see it's already populated a field in the footer, the right footer, as document ID. So generally, if your documents have already been what we call renumbered in the database and stamped with the document ID on the page already, like this document here, for example, it's been stamped in the bottom right-hand corner, you don't actually need to apply an additional footer because the document has already been stamped. So usually we would turn this field off just by clicking on the drop down and clicking on the white space. The only time you might need to use this is if the documents haven't yet been stamped in the database, but you still want to print them and have an identifier on the printed document so you can link it back to the database. And that will stamp the document ID on each page. So in this particular example, we don't need to do that. So I'm going to click that off and click Next. So our first setting here asks you whether you want to apply reductions to your document and have them burnt into the image. So in this example, I do have a redacted document and I want to apply it. So I'm going to make sure that that is ticked. You'll also note that there's a reductions label section. So this basically allows you to select what you actually want to appear on your reduction. So here I might not want my username to be shown or the day that I actually applied the reduction. I might just want the word reduction and the words legal professional privilege to apply. So I'll just leave those two ticked here. The next one down is inserting a placeholder page with file information for non-PDF and non-image files. So in this example, if you had selected documents in your list and one of them was an Excel, obviously it can't export the Excel, so instead it will insert a placeholder in its place. And the next setting down allows you to identify what you actually want to have on that placeholder. So for example, I might want to have the document ID stamped on the placeholder and some custom text. So it might say, this document is not printable. Printable, please refer to native. And that will apply on the placeholder. Next, we have the page orientation. So you can either retain the original or rotate best for fit. And then the third option allows you to choose how you want the documents to be exported. So the first one is one document at a time with the PDFs named by their doc ID. So that will export the documents separately and they will be named, the file name will be their document ID. The second one is one document at a time with the PDFs name to retain the search result order. So For this example, if you've ordered your documents, for example, as in chronological order, and you want to retain that order, it will export the documents and it will put a padding at the start of the document so that if you do actually print those documents, it will print in order. So I'm going to keep this option selected, and I'll show you in the next clip of what that actually looks like when we export it. And the third option is all selected files in one PDF in search result order. So that essentially just combines all of the documents into one PDF in the order that you have it in your current list. So I'm just going to click submit. And before I do that, it will click submit and it will have a box that will pop up. So please don't close this box until it is finished. Otherwise it will cancel the batch print. Once the page fully loads, it will download the zip file to your downloads folder, and you will see that in the bottom left-hand corner. So I'll just show you, I'll click submit and I can show you in the next clip what that looks like. So now the documents have exported and it's applied a padding at the start of each document, and that's to retain the search result order from where I exported the documents from, and now they've applied nicely in this list for me.